I'm Jake Paul from Bizarre Vark, and you're watching Disney Channel. Oh, no, look.
Disney dropped Jake Paul!
Nailed it!
If by some minute chance you meet the challenge, your reward will be great. Behold!
Did we just find a dead person in the suicide forest?
Whoopsie. Now behold.
Parts of a sentence. A group of words that makes complete sense is called a sentence.
Wow! The land of make-believe!
A complete sentence expresses a complete thought. For example,
A sentence is a grammatically complete idea.
Right. It's a bunch of words that say one complete thing.
I want a church girl that go to church and read your Bible.
every complete sentence has two parts: a subject and a predicate.
So all sentences have a noun or pronoun component, right? And that's what we call the subject.
The subject is what or who the sentence is about. The predicate is what is being said about the subject. In other words, it describes what is happening.
And then we have the verb part, which is the predicate.
So a sentence has to have like a thing or a noun or a pronoun.
Sure, that's the subject.
Yeah, and something that it's doing.
Sure, that's the predicate.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's say we've got this sentence. The great big dog licked my face. Here is our sentence. What is the subject?
Subject is the great big dog.
All right. And that means that everything that's not the subject is part of the predicate, right?
Mm-hmm.
So licked my face is the predicate. So this is the noun chunk that is performing the action of the sentence.
You got it.
Cool.
Yeah.
So all sentences have to have this, right?
Yeah, they have to have a subject and a predicate, these two separate parts.
So if you asked a question like,
Try again.
are you named David?
Okay.
If you asked that of me, which go ahead.
Are you named David?
I am. Is this a sentence? It's really short.
It is very short, but you see I is a pronoun.
Okay.
So that can be the subject.
That's our subject.
And am is a verb. So it has a subject and a predicate.
So this is the noun or pronoun part, and this is the action that it is performing. Although am or being isn't really an action. It's more of a linking verb.
Sure.
But it's still a verb.
That's
okay,
right.
so this is the predicate then, for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, so, but Paige, let's say I dropped a muffin,
Right.
and you told me, pick up that muffin.
Uh-huh.
That sentence doesn't seem to have, so let me write that down. That sentence doesn't seem to have a subject. I see how all of this is predicate.
Right. Pick up is a verb. And then
The muffin
all
is the
the
thing
predicate.
that's being picked up. Like, that's all one thing. What goes in the blue box?
I see. So when we have a sentence like this where I'm telling you to do something, there doesn't always have to be a subject said out loud.
Okay.
This is like an order.
No off-topic questions. Because I don't want to. No, permission denied. That's an off-topic questions. Next, you have been stopped.
Right? I'm telling you have to pick up that muffin.
So this is kind of like an invisible secret subject.
Right. And the subject really is you.
Okay.
You pick up that muffin. but I don't have to say it out loud.
Because I know that you're talking to me. Because I can tell. Because you're looking at me and you're yelling at me about a muffin.
Yes, I am.
So a sentence is a grammatically complete idea or expression, and it has to have a noun or pronoun part, which we call the subject, and it has to have a verb and all its baggage part, which is what we call the predicate. And sometimes that subject can sort of be implied or invisible, as in the command, pick up that muffin.
Right.
Cool. You can learn anything.
For example, these are all complete sentences. But small yellow flowers.
Whoa! Hurricane Katrina! More like Hurricane Tortilla.
People who talk a lot. These are not real sentences, as they are not complete thoughts. Nothing is really happening here.
Wow, do you feel that wind?
Note, sentences begin with a capital letter and end with a period, question mark, or exclamation mark.
Hey, Donnie, what doing?
This is the tale of Mr. Morton. Mr. Morton is who? He is the subject of our tale, and the predicate tells what Mr. Morton must do. Mr. Morton knew just one girl. Mr. Morton knew. Mr. Morton grew flowers for Pearl. Mr. Morton grew. Mr. Morton was very shy. Mr. Morton was. Mr. Morton is the subject of the sentence, and what the predicate says he does. The subject is a noun. That's a person, place, or thing. It's who or what the sentence is about. And the predicate is the verb. That's the action word that gets this subject up and out. Mr. Morton wrote Pearl a poem. Mr. Morton wrote. Pearl replied in the afternoon. Pearl replied by a note. Mr. Morton was very nervous. Mr. Morton was. Mr. Morton is the subject of the sentence, and what the predicate says he does. The sentence is completed when you know what the subject did. Mr. Morton knocked on her door. Mr. Morton knocked. Mr. Morton sat on her porch. Yes, he just sat there and rocked. Mr. Morton was a nervous man. When she opened up the door, he ran. Mr. Morton climbed up his stairs. Mr. Morton climbed. Mr. Morton rhymed pretty words. Mr. Morton rhymed. Mr. Morton was lonely. Mr. Morton was, until Pearl showed up with a single rose. Who says women can't propose? Now Mr. Morton is happy, and Pearl and the cat are too. They're the subject of the sentence, and what the predicate says, they do.